Hey everybody, welcome back to Talking Nerdy with Max and Thomas. I'm Max Will.
I'm Thomas.
And now we're going to talk nerdy to you, baby. That was awful. I felt gross saying it. We're going to leave it in, but I feel absolutely disgusting saying that.
Yeah. You should.
Well, okay, what's up with you, Thomas? What's new? We'll start with that. That's a good way to get things rolling.
Halloween is gone. Spooky season's over, everyone.
Yep.
But it's time for turkey.
Yeah, that's right.
And cobbler and stuffing. And all those important other things, like family. What's going on with you?
One thing, while we're talking about Thanksgiving, it shouldn't be as fucking stressful as it is. It really shouldn't be. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm okay skipping Thanksgiving. It's not upsetting to me. I can buy a big ass meal by myself and eat it and just feel awful, and have some leftovers. But I don't know. It's just
I love making 4 peach cobblers every time.
You make 4?
Family one side, family the other side, work, friends. Oh. 4 cobblers.
That's why you're diabetic. That is absolutely why.
After the first, I was like, why aren't you touching the dessert you brought? I'm like, because this is the 3rd.
Jesus. Okay, but yeah, no. Life's been good. We're getting into November. Spooky season's been clubbed to death in front of our eyes like a baby seal. Yeah. We're moving on through.
The radio.
It's all Christmas music now.
Terrifying.
It's too soon. They were like, Hannah and I went to the store the other day. I think we were at Lowe's. We're at Lowe's, and this is middle of October. This is middle of October. We go to Lowe's, and there were Christmas songs. All the Christmas stuff was out.
The inflatables.
Yeah, everything.
The yard
everything, and there was a little bit of clearance Halloween. Just a little bit. I'm like, we got 2 weeks till the holiday, and you're already pushing
2
out
weeks
Christmas.
before. It all changes.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Christmas. I love Christmas decorations when it's in season. I'm
unfortunate.
One holiday at the time. If any of you jump to Christmas before Halloween, you're a cancer to society. I stand by that message.
Even here on the way up your all's road, someone still had their Halloween decorations on one side, orange lights and everything. And then right across from them was all the Santa stuff. I'm like, it's not even Thanksgiving. There's no snow. I know it's cold, but, take a chill pill. Slow down.
Okay, well, let's get right into it then. I think we've bitched enough now to actually get into our topic of conversation.
Hopefully.
So the big thing we're going to talk about is Loki. So yes. Loki Season 2, it's going to be a little bit later when this podcast is released, but this is the day after the last episode. Today is the 10th?
Yes.
It's the 10th. I know, because that's my car payment day. In case any of you all were wondering.
That.
Yeah.
Tough day.
Okay, well, first, non-spoilers. Non-spoiler thoughts, and then we'll get into the big, meaty plot details.
I liked it. I like where Loki has gone through this whole arc right here. It's definitely, Season 1 was definitely what is the TVA, what's going on, time travel, different timelines. This one's very much Loki coming to grips with everything around him now and how he can actually operate. And it has spectacular moments.
Yeah, and so hands down, I can sum up my favorite part of the show in 3 words. Ki Hoi Kwan. I freaking love OB in the show.
Ouroboros. Oh.
He's awesome. He is. Every second he's on the screen, he steals the show.
It's just fun. It's just fun.
I want to be his friend. I do.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's one of those, like, he and Jack Black.
He's your cool, fun coworker.
Oh, yeah.
All the way.
Easily. And it's just like, you can't help but smile when he speaks.
Oh,
and when he's interacting, because there's just, like, this childlike wholesomeness to his presence. And, but yeah, I mean, he's killing it. And I really hope, if there is a season 3... Given how we know how it ended, which we will discuss in a second after
who knows
we
what comes next.
Get into spoilers. I hope they bring him back in season 3 or bring him back somehow. I just want to see him. I want to see him and more, because he's just great. He's just really great. Music was awesome. I think so. The composer for the music was Natalie Holt, and especially with a very important final scene in the show, which again we'll get into with the spoilers. There's something particular Loki does, and the score for it, oh my god. It was like, it was like this perfect mix of like suspense and dread and like melancholy. It just was really beautifully composed, and it made me feel all sorts of things.
There's definitely a major theme of Loki finding and making his own fate, and also having to come to accept it, and it's just amazing. And it's also, like you said, it's like a sad melancholy when he gets to that point.
Yeah. So this is the most I've ever liked Loki. Like, I liked him towards the end of season 1, because, it's like early on, even though it irks my wife that I feel this way, because she's a huge Loki fan, early on, I felt like he was just it's like, oh, it's Loki again. He's popping up again. Like, I liked him. I thought, he was a cool villain because he's just kind of a dick. He's just kind of like this spoiled brat, entitled brat, and he's a failure at everything he does. And then he has these little moments that...
He gets to be a little clever here and there. Season 1, it's very much, he's just another variant that's been brought in. And it's around, I think, episode 3 or 4 of the first series you learn, no, Loki variants are very common. Loki goes off the timeline a lot. A lot of them get captured, and a lot of them get pruned. A lot of them get deleted. And that's when I think we also get, after he sees, this is back in season 1 still, when he sees his whole timeline play out, how it should have gone, that's when he's just like, oh my gosh, wait, that's how things were supposed to go?
It's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get into spoilers now.
Okay.
Man. So, okay, well, first, we'll start with how it ended. I thought it was fitting. It was, especially for the name, because the name of the episode is Glorious Purpose.
Yes.
Which has been...
Loki's always wanted his glorious purpose.
Yeah, he's burdened with glorious purpose.
Yes.
And...
what a purpose.
Yeah. So, in the end, for you guys who have watched it, or for those of you who are too lazy to watch it and just tell me the ending. So, the loom that's made to keep all the timelines in check and keep the flow of time working is not working, because it's set up, so it's just a failsafe for the TVA, and some of these timelines that are straying off just... They can't exist. It's the sacred timeline and the sacred timeline only.
Yep.
Because that's what who remains set in motion.
Yep. It was built as the power source of the TVA. It only works off of the one timeline, and it is also essentially just a cage, a failsafe, and a bomb, all in one.
Yeah.
And then, he goes the science route.
I love that.
Anytime someone, when you have characters who have to do well, how long would it take me to learn this knowledge? And it's like a couple decades, centuries. And they just do a cutaway. And already, I love, this is, when it's done like this, I like it in time fiction. Anything where it's, anything that involves such time shenanigans, where it's just like, and everyone starts noticing, hey, he really knows a lot about all this science stuff. And everyone's just kind of looking at him like, are you okay? And he's just like, I'm fine. And it's like, oh, he spent years, decades or more.
Well, yeah, and I thought that
getting this all down in his head. Oh,
and I really did. I thought it was hilarious as a joke because he's talking to OB, and
we need to do this faster. We need to do it sooner. We gotta prevent the timeline and everything from exploding.
And he's like, "How long would it take me to learn this?" And OB's like, "Decades, centuries." Yeah. And it literally goes to a cutaway. It's like centuries later. So it's just to think that poor Loki spent hundreds of years going into this like deep science. And I love seeing how he just took control of everything. It's like, he just started typing in. It's like, okay, put the suit, go down that way. Don't drop this. You're going to want to set this down. It will roll off. Do not set it down.
Get your latch. Otherwise the face mask comes off and you're just dead anyway.
Which I love because you just picture in your head, it's like, you go, how many times did he go through this?
You go, that's another run. That's another run. That's another run. And you go, oh my God. And over those centuries, you got to think, this is where I think that's where he might have learned how to pause time. Because he would have gotten sick of just doing a 30-minute increment of that over and over and over again. He finally would have just gone, stop. I need to sit down and learn all this now. And then gone back into running it all again over and over. Oh,
that's what heroes do.
But if he did that, Thor from Ragnarok was great, and that was one of the goofiest and simplest lines. That's what heroes do.
Heroes do.
And you're just like, oh man, that's a nice little creed, little mantra. Good job, Thor. Yeah, if Loki busted that out.
But yeah, and so
he didn't need to.
He realizes all that learning was like there was no way to fix it because he meets with He Who Remains, and
the gadget they put into the thingamabobber only multiplies it up to an amount, while all the timelines are infinite.
So he makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Mr. Timely tells him it can't be done with science. The cage is the flaw. You're trying to fix something that will not work because the equation from He Who Remains is set up this way. That doesn't work.
So he makes the ultimate sacrifice and he goes out there, and that's where you have this incredible score going on. And I was just thinking, it's like, oh shit, he's going to die. But he didn't. So he starts pulling all the threads of the different timelines together. Right. And he starts like ascending up this staircase. And he gets to the top and he pulls them all together. And it makes the Tree of Life in from North mythology. From Norse mythology. Makes the Tree of Life. And he becomes Loki, the god of stories. And he sits there for all time. Because now he protects all the timelines, which
he has replaced the loom. He's holding and letting it all go to. And I love that there's a moment where B-15 like comes back into the elevator. The TVA's all together again, and just like the iconography around in the TVA is already starting to slowly change. And it starts small, where it's just a poster where it just says "Let it grow." Yeah. And it shows the tree, the branching timelines, and I think back in the first season, it was like pruning to maintain the sacred timeline. So it's like already the mindset of everyone is changing there. Another great moment we get is him having to get back to this. He has to make a moment where he gets everyone together again when they all get separated from the first big failure moment.
And I loved seeing where they were like, where all these people were pulled from time, because we see OB, Casey, B-15,
Mobius.
Oh, yeah. Mobius, and then those the 4.
He also gets female Loki.
Sylvie. Well, yeah, she pops up later. But yeah, I liked that we got to see where they came from. So,
Yes.
Obi is a scientist who really wants to be a science fiction writer and is not doing so good with that.
No.
And
even then, more time shenanigans. Oh, it's only been like a 2-minute scene. OB's back. It's like, 2 minutes? More like 18 months.
Yeah, my wife left me because of this.
To make this weird laptop cereal box looking contraption. Just so we can make the weird square time gates.
Yeah, and then so...
And his is glitching out and like moving around.
Oh, it's all messed up. And then Mobius is a single father of 2 who sells...
Jet skis.
Jet skis. That's why he likes them so much. And then B-15 is like a child...
A nurse or a doctor?
Well, she's a doctor. Yeah, she was, what do you call it? Like a pediatric doctor or something.
I think so.
Pediatrician. Thank you, Hannah.
Casey, though, our typical, chirpy office worker, is actually an escapee from Alcatraz.
Yeah, he was one of the 3 guys who escaped from Alcatraz. What was his name was Frank?
Frank.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who escaped from Alcatraz. So I think that's funny now. We've had him as Frank, the escapee from Alcatraz, and then we had Loki, who turns out was the infamous D.B. Cooper, who is, no one knows who he is. He's still at large.
Right.
Or, well, he's probably dead by now. Well, maybe. So for the most part... I loved it. I couldn't think of a whole lot of things that I didn't like, except a couple. And these are very, nitpicky. Renslayer and Miss Minutes just kind of, it's like, at one moment...
Their whole motive and subplot, it
didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere.
They've been given this whole secret task to, you need to go and... give the CVA manual to this boy in Chicago or Cincinnati?
Chicago. It was like Chicago in the 1880s.
1880s. And this person will grow up to be Dr. Timely, who will eventually, we believe at the time, is going to become He Who Remains.
Yeah.
And that's not it at all.
Well, I want to get to Victor Timely in a minute, because I have a lot to say about the whole King the Conqueror thing.
Right,
but
he could be, and he's only faking his death, and at that moment he's also time slipping away to go be.
I think he was just dying. Over and fuck. And honestly, the first time when he died, I was like, oh, that's not what I thought. But then he just keeps dying, and it's like, okay, it's kind of funny he keeps dying.
Well, it's the whole attempt again, over and over and over again. Okay, what if I, change your shirt or something? Will that change the outcome of this? How many times did Loki try that? I wish we had a random... He did have that little device to know when he could get pruned or anything. That would have been nice to see if that was counting, how many times he was back at the same place. And he's, doing a little slip-up where Mobius is catching, what do you mean this time? And I wish, someone, saw, a digit or something that said on Loki's, that little watch he got, maybe, that said, 5,000.
And then
they would have been like, oh, my God, you're stuck here, just to give us a better understanding of the quantity.
So I actually like not knowing, because that, reminds me of Groundhog Day, and it adds to the comedic purpose of it, where it's just oh my God, how long would it take to know how to do all this and to know each movement and each variable that could possibly happen? Right. I mean, it's like a statistician's wet dream to figure out.
Miss Minutes, she's an AI time warden.
So she kind of disappears because they override the system, right?
Yep,
they override the system, and then so she kind of disappears, and Renslayer's pruned. And then, so at the very last episode, in the last few minutes, you see Renslayers at what's that realm called? Where we see in season 1, where there's the big purple thing that destroys everything for all eternity.
Where we find the alternate Lokis.
Yeah, so that's where she ends up.
Right.
And we see, like, the creature approaches her because you hear it go, like, "Rawr," and she glows purple.
She has no fancy magic, so that will just eat her and she's out of existence. Supposedly.
Yeah. Then Miss Minutes comes back. And
Goliath or something.
And there's like this little moment where there's like, aren't you afraid she's gonna go crazy and kill us all? And OB's just kind of like, or
Casey at that point, I think.
Well, I think it was OB. He just kind of goes,
oh no, yeah, Casey.
And which I love that, where he was just like, I don't know. It's like that. It might be a problem later, but right now it's fine, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, it's. I wish there was something else there. I don't know what though. But I just felt like that was something. It's like they built it up to be more significant than it was going to be. But now Kang the Conqueror. I've been really frustrated with how the MCU's done Kang the Conqueror, and it's because now he just keeps appearing and he goes out like a bitch. And it's happened every time. So we see He Who Remains get killed. And that's so Kang variant, for you all don't know. So he gets killed at the end of Loki season 1.
Right.
Kang the Conqueror is present in
his alternates.
Yeah.
His variants.
Yeah, one of his
other
variants.
timelines.
So he's in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And so he's supposed to be Kang the Conqueror, the big scary one. And he gets taken out by an army of giant ants and a dude who has no superpowers, but just has a little button on his suit that can make him really small, really big.
Yep.
And then Victor Timely just dies and dies and dies over and over again. And then even He Who Remains, so when he came back and we saw He Who Remains again, I was thinking, it's like, oh, okay. I'm liking where this is going, where you're showing him as being, it's like you're still playing his game. Because he still had that all set in motion.
Yes.
But then it's like he got beat again. And it's just like, why am I supposed to care about Kang if he dies every time we see him? It's like, I don't care. He's not a threat. We're like with Thanos. The thing with Thanos is he was so big and scary because he's hinted at for years, and we only get these, like, we'll get a reference to his name, or we'll get like 2 seconds worth of shot of his face, or we get a single line of dialogue. Well, I'll do it myself. And he gets his gauntlet on, and then you see him for a whole movie where really Thanos is the main character of Infinity War. He's got more screen time than anyone else, and you see what he can do. And even when being defeated at the beginning of Endgame, you still feel he's like a genuine threat. Like, you're afraid of what he's going to do. I don't have that with Kang.
You see the villain succeed.
Yeah.
We saw that with Thanos when he was finally on screen and had screen time. First time we really see him doing his thing. He's already beaten up all the Asgardians, destroyed their ship. Thor's barely alive. The Hulk gets a surprise jump on him, and then he kills Loki. And he's like, and that's maybe
first 10 minutes.
Maybe the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But you see the villain succeeding, and he
does win at the end of it.
Yes,
he wins.
He wins.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a heart crushing moment. But giving the heroes failure and major failure makes it
it's more interesting,
more spectacular.
Well,
and more, yeah.
Well, it's because you see the heroes in a vulnerable state, and you can relate to the heroes because everyone has failed at some point. Some in a huge way, some in a little way. But there's that little bit of complexity to a character where you see them down and out. And the beauty of a good protagonist, when it's well written, is you see them faced with impossible odds
and adversity,
and they overcome it despite all of that, whether using some new learned skill or a partnership of some kind, or just some kind of ingenuity to overcome the villain. And that's what makes a great hero. And I think that's what made Endgame so special is we see Tony Stark's ultimate sacrifice. He saves the entire universe.
Yes.
Yeah, literally, he does save it, because the first time it was just half of it, then he was just like, I'm just going to wipe out everything. So he saves the entire universe, and then even Steve Rogers, when Captain America, I thought he was going to die at the end of Endgame when he's fighting Thanos, until that hammer comes, and I remember being so overwhelmed with emotion, and I was tearing up. I'm not going to lie, I was tearing up when Captain America got Mjolnir.
Yes.
And I can do this all day.
Yes.
That's what makes a great hero. And so I feel like Kang is, one, failing as an actual threatening villain, and he's not giving the heroes any real adversity where it just feels satisfying. Yeah, so
similar
that's
things
my
to be
issue.
said with a lot of the MCU villains. I know for Ultron, a big thing is he's in the comics. He's a part of all technology. He's spread across the entire internet. He's just waiting for the right opportunity to just spring up again. But in the movies, we got to beat the villain right now. We will use the Mind Stone, and he's out of the internet. We're good. He's done.
Yeah.
He's only on this one robot now.
Yeah. So, and I mean, sometimes they've done really great, but definitely there's this whole idea with, especially comic book movies, where it's you gotta you kill the villain at the end of the movie. Too many great villains have been just like one-offs. Like even like this, I'd say the Michael Keaton Batman movies were bad about this, and then I'd say the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were bad about this. So Jack Nicholson's Joker dies at the end of the 1989 Batman, and Batman Returns. Penguin dies, Max Schreck dies. They hint at Catwoman dying, but she doesn't. So I'll give him that. But, okay, so you've already killed off your villains. And then Spider-Man, Green Goblin kills himself on accident.
Right.
Doc Ock accident. Well, he actually makes a sacrifice and dies.
It's just the nature of comics. The villains need to somehow be around still.
Yeah.
In movies, this has to end, like the whole story, the whole kit caboodle has to end in 2.5 hours.
And, well, I mean, and before it was even less than that. So now you see movies getting longer. But, I mean, I think those Sam Raimi movies, and then, which are great. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I love them. Mm-hmm. So, well, the third one's kind of, but, and then same with the Michael Keaton Batman. I love them. They're great movies. But anytime I watch them, I think it's like, I wish they didn't kill him off, because I'd love to see what he does next.
Right.
And, well, so actually, I think we should go into another one of our big segments today. So we're talking about who we think the greatest movie heroes are, the greatest movie protagonist. So it doesn't have to be a particular genre. All of them are welcome. And I guess so I made my list of 10 and you made your list of 10.
Oh, there was a list of 10?
How many did you do?
That's more than 10.
Oh, no.
About 17, 18.
You're going to have to make some hard decisions. There can only be 10.
We'll do your list and just see if any of mine hit that.
Well, shall I start from 10 or do you want me to start at 1?
Oh man, we'll climb up to the.
We'll climb up. Okay, so my first one I said was Ellen Ripley from the Aliens franchise, and so like going into this list, the idea was we wanted to pick characters who were one iconic,
yes,
something that had someone who had some kind of cultural significance. And within the story they were in, they overcame some great adversity, and it was just someone you wanted to root for. Ellen Ripley was, correct me if I'm wrong, but she was the first leading female action hero.
I believe so.
Yeah, in the first Alien movie. And so, I mean, one, that's huge, because you have a woman stepping into the role that was typically dominated by men. And the thing is, she's awesome. She's awesome. She's
amazing
very
movie.
smart. She's resourceful. She also has a heart, because I think, is it the third one she's protecting the kid, or was it the second one?
The third one is with the queen, and I believe that's when she's fighting off.
Okay, but
keeping away from the kid.
yeah, but I mean, she's just an awesome character.
Yes.
Well,
she's definitely that everyday person thrown into the survival.
Yes.
Other characters similar to this, I have like Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, and Joel and Mandalorian also are sort of their survivor. Oh, sorry, no. Joel and Kratos and Mando are sort of your survivor / protectors.
Well, some of them too. I think at least Joel and Kratos. Who was the other one you named off?
Mando. Well, so like with Ripley, it's more of Isaac again, where it's a lone survivor, and then like you said, in the third one, there's a child to protect. You start getting into the found family trope, where it's a younger and an older character, one clearly trying to protect the other, trying to like just have them survive the world. Basically, you have that with Mando and Grogu. You have that with Joel and
Kratos.
Joel and Kratos,
Yeah.
With their,
well, and one thing I'll say about Joel and Kratos,
because he's now in a show and a movie.
Yeah, and so
and a game.
Again, for those who
Game
don't
and a
know,
show.
so Joel is from
The Last of Us.
Thank you. I could not think of the name. And then Kratos, God of War. So both those characters
There is no
are,
sequel to The Last of Us. Never happened.
I think there's going to be a season 2 that's solely based off that.
Nope. Nope. No, there isn't.
So those characters, though, I'll say they're very interesting because they're tragic characters. So they've both lost their families due to things outside their circumstances.
They are all also horribly unlucky and keep ending up in the same predicament, unfortunately.
And they're also ruthless because they've been so like caged off. And it's like you said with that found family. So I mean, I know Kratos.
You start getting into that Rambo territory.
Yeah,
and you get some of that with Joel, where when he's just going through that hospital, and he's just like
brutally murders everyone.
Yep, he's like, nope. Everyone else here can die.
So
that kid's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I'd say he and Kratos are both like anti-heroes. Like they're not like your conventional good guy. You root for them because you see
Kratos
good sides to them.
In the whole Norse mythology, not even a trilogy, right? It's a duology. It's only 2 games.
Yeah, it's just 2 right now. Yeah.
But older Greek Kratos. That guy's just kill stuff.
Blood and gore. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, so my number 9 is Neo from The Matrix.
Okay.
Because he's just, I mean, it's the hero's journey through and through. It's he's pulled from every day because he's just some random dude. He's a hacker, isn't he? In the first one, I feel like it's been so long since I've seen The Matrix. Oh, man. But I think he does like computer hacking stuff. But so he gets pulled in.
He's able to understand the code.
Yeah, so he's pulled in. He has to learn how to operate in this whole new world that he's been exposed to.
The actual world.
And he's
maybe.
But I mean, and throughout the 3 movies, so I'll say the first one's awesome. 2 and 3, and I didn't even watch the 4th one. What's it called? Revolutions or something, or Revelations? I couldn't bring myself to watch it because honestly, 2 and 3 were bad. But Neo as a hero is great because even in the end of that 3rd one, he makes that ultimate sacrifice, and he died. And he's just a great. Well, and also Keanu Reeves. Come on.
Oh, spectacular.
Come on. He's breathtaking.
Yes.
Breathtaking. Your turn, sir.
Okay. I don't have these in a chronological order, but we're on
just throw one
number
out.
7 right now.
Well, I'm on 9.
You're on 9
Yeah.
still. Okay. I sort of went more with... I tried to stay near their archetypes. Oh boy, I don't want to throw out either of those two because they're just going to be at the top though.
Oh yeah, save the good ones for like
how
what do
about-
you think's the top of the list for later.
How about Jack Sparrow, the free spirit,
Yeah, well, and I think
the adventurer?
so. He's again, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow is some of the best possible casting that you could ever like.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that they casted him, and even though the studio wanted to get rid of him, and the director was so adamant about keeping him, thank you.
Oh,
Because
my
I mean, he's a great character. Because you love every second he's on. Because you never know what he's going to do next. He's
Yes.
chaotic good. I'd say
Yes.
he's chaotic good. You never really know what he's going to do. Because at first he's like he's got his own. Well, maybe I'll say he's chaotic neutral actually, because he's got his own selfish kind of things, but he doesn't really
He wants to
hurt
be a
or kill
pirate,
anybody who's
and
good.
And he wants to be immortal and do this forever. And he won't go to any ends to achieve it. He has a moral compass. When Davy Jones kills or begins the killing of Will Turner, he freezes. He's like, "Oh my God!" And then comes up like right then and there, changes it. He's like, "I'm gonna try and save my friend." He's
Well,
like,
that, and you find out the reason he was branded a pirate in the first place is because he freed like a bunch of slaves they were in, because people aren't cargo, mate. Take notes. Slavery is
bad.
bad. Yes, slavery is bad. So my next one, I picked this more of just like the cultural relevance of the character. Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp. And so it's from the old silent movies. You know, he's got the little bowler hat and the like really kind of like overly sophisticated looking suit and the little like the Hitler mustache before it was a Hitler mustache. You know, but he's more of kind of like a hero of like the working class.
Okay.
Where you see him in these situations he's put into, and you know he's mischievous, but it's usually revolved around some kind of like authority figure.
Okay.
But he's also very clearly has like a moral compass. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, internet. In The Great Dictator that Charlie Chaplin did. Now I know he's dressed like the Tramp. I'm not sure if it technically is the Tramp, but the whole idea is he's mistaken for this dictator because he looks just like him. And it was very much an anti-Nazi film that he was making. And, you know, there's this beautiful speech at the end that he does. And you just really see how good and wholesome of a character in this very liberated, compassionate philosophy that he was relaying. And I mean, I think if you know, people might not have seen Charlie Chaplin's films, which you can watch them. They are on HBO if you have HBO Max.
Okay. I've only seen
Or
a few
Max or whatever
clips
it's
here and
called.
there.
But if I were to show someone a picture of Charlie Chaplin, like you know it was Charlie
Yes.
Chaplin, and
Yes.
so I have him on there because of the probably more of the cultural relevance of that character and how huge he was in cinema for a couple decades, and then even the influence that spanned throughout. Because I mean, his ideas
Entire
got
silent film genre
yeah.
right there.
Well, and he was one of the guys who would have made it into the talkies, but he got blacklisted because he was accused of being a communist sympathizer.
Wow.
He also really liked young girls, but we won't get into that. We're talking about the character, not the man.
All right.
Yeah, I think he got like a 14 or 15-year-old pregnant, and he went down to Mexico to marry her.
Ooh.
I don't agree.
No. It's not good.
Yeah. Again, separation between the man and the art. But
Right.
Okay, you go next.
Okay, we're around number 6 or so right now.
7.
Wow.
My seven. You can just throw out a character at this
I
point.
don't want to do either of those two. Those got to be like the top.
Okay.
It's gotta be the top.
So, I'm going to name off that second one there. So, Superman is my number 7.
Real?
Superman is my number 7. And
really?
yes.
Okay.
Well, you'll understand when I name off the other characters.
Okay.
So Superman, especially because when I think Superman, I love Henry Cavill because he makes being a nerd cool.
Yes.
Well, at least he's cool and he's a nerd. The rest of us, But
we may not hit that benchmark.
But not quite. But I think a Superman is Christopher Reeves, and I just think when you think superhero, Christopher Reeve as Superman, for a lot of people, is going to be the first thing that pops into their head. I mean, some people now might think Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, or just
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah, fill in the blank. But I think, truth, justice, and the American way. Always doing the right thing. And I mean, they call him, what did they call him?
The Boy Scout?
Thank you. I was going to say the Boy Scout. I was like, I might be mixing that up with Captain America right now.
No. So Captain America and Superman are very much the Boy Scout. They are the goody two-shoes. Good
lawful
guy.
good.
Yes. He's Big Blue. He's
hope.
The icon of hope, basically. If anyone can do it, Superman can do it.
Anyone can do it, Superman can do it.
Yep.
And I think it's that just outstanding morality and the ability to be able to do and overcome anything.
Yes. There's an amazing comic called Kingdom Come. It's a bit further into the future. A superhero kills a supervillain. Turns out they wanted to be reprimanded by Superman about it, but Superman just left it. The world was getting crazy, full of villains and stuff. So Superman just walks away from that and essentially retires for a bit. He gets off the scene. And heroes start turning into killers because now they're following this other guy called Mangog. And if I got his name right. And you learn at the end of this story that Mangog felt that he failed. He wanted Superman to be there to call him out on that and reprimand him. He's like, hey, I was in a position where I failed what you were setting up, and now it's 20 years of just degradation because that Superman wasn't there anymore. The gold standard wasn't there. No one was following that icon, but it has a good ending and everything to it.
Nice.
But Kingdom Come, amazing. And it's like, why do we need Superman?
That's why.
Yes.
That's why we need Superman. And I mean, also, he's not my personal favorite Superman, but he's like everyone. If you think of superheroes, he's the first name that comes up on everybody.
Yes.
Superman. Yep. It's just
they aren't just heroes; they're super.
That's right.
Super.
Because which one is it? Action Comics number.
Action Comics. The actual number.
There's so many numbers. Again, fill in the blank online. Hit us with those tasty comments. Tell us what we don't know.
So Superman was your number 7.
That was my number 7.
Okay.
So I got a good top 6 though.
Okay.
So for number 6, I put Clarice Starling from The Silence of the Lambs with Jodie Foster.
Okay. Getting into your detectives and all that. Okay.
Yeah, and so
but still just a person.
Yeah, and so what I love about her is, I mean, so she's an average person. Now, I will say, she's pushes herself. She wants to prove herself. She's very intelligent.
She's dealing with a male-dominated industry. Also, a guy who might want to eat her. You know,
it's not every day someone comes up against a person who wants to either 1, A, eat her, or 2, wear her skin. Hello,
or
Clarice.
has night vision goggles and will follow you in the dark. That whole stretch. Oh my God!
And so I am ashamed to say that I didn't watch The Silence of the Lambs till I want to say it was earlier this year.
Good, because if you watched it as a kid, you were scared.
Yeah.
Crapless.
Honestly, I gotta say, it's a perfect movie. I don't think there's one wrong thing about it. I love the way it was filmed, because I know they shot it in a particular way with like the camera angles. Anytime she's like having a conversation with a man, where you're supposed to kind of feel in her presence where it's like, oh, she's being talked down to. But but I just love how much, one, she's able to figure out who Buffalo Bill is, and no one else can do it. And
off of a hunch at the end. It's like, this place is just related to it.
I think it was the moths, right? I think it was she sees like the moth patterns, or like displayed moths in a case, but just like the stuff she's able to deduce is incredible, and
very real feeling.
Just
vulnerability. It's like no, I could have died the whole time. Again, something very much from like the survivor aspect of movies, like with like Daisy Ridley and Alien, where it's just like, oh, I can die here. Oh, good Lord.
Well, and she's also the only one Hannibal Lecter won't play, like, who actually wants to speak with. So, I mean, granted, I don't want to have a conversation with Hannibal Lecter, but...
no.
But so...
Phenomenal actor. But oh my God.
Yeah, but so that's why Clarice is my number 6. I think she is just perfectly written, where you feel like that's someone I could see out in the world, but it's also such, the complexities of the situation and the danger that she's thrown into and is able to overcome. And it's not even, it feels earned too. It's not just one of those, it's like, oh, she's got that plot armor on, or she's a Mary Sue or anything like that. She's a regular person who just uses her training and her gumption to get something done.
A well-written protagonist that happens to be a woman.
We're not talking about Star Wars. No, we'll do another episode.
The Panderverse.
I do love Daisy Ridley, though.
They are good actors.
I think that
they're good actors, but they were just given a piece of paper that was on
Thomas,
fire.
Thomas, no, stop. We're going to go down a rabbit hole. This is going to take hours. We're never going to get to finish our list.
Okay.
All right, name a hero. Just name a hero, for the love of God.
Let's go with similar to Superman, Luke Skywalker. Again, sort of an icon of hope, but also has to go on his own hero's journey, and his whole thing with his father, sort of like, you could become this.
Redemption.
Yes.
It's I think what makes Luke Skywalker such a great character is more in Return of the Jedi than anything else. It's that bit of, he sees that there's a possibility to redeem his father who's gone down this dark path, and he's willing to sacrifice himself for the soul of his father.
And luckily it pays out.
It does. Till Rian Johnson rubbed it! You motherfucker!
Happy thoughts.
Fuck you, Rian Johnson. Fuck you. Okay, I'm going to do my number 5.
Yeah. Go to your number 5.
Do my number 5.
Happy place.
Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So when Tolkien wrote Aragorn, he wrote him as what he felt was the ideal leader. And I like that Peter Jackson made him a reluctant hero, a reluctant leader.
Yes.
So, and I'm talking more of the movie version than the book version,
right?
Because there are some differences.
Been exiled from this position.
Well, he's pretty much exiled himself,
right?
He
does not,
because he doesn't want it.
He does not want to go into it. He does not. He is content with where he is.
Is a ranger in the north.
As a ranger, yep. And almost the entire fellowship is its own individual, like, hero. They're all different parts. Frodo is the innocence. Just Frodo and Sam. All the hobbits are just pure innocence.
His poor innocence.
And then someone gave him a ring and it all went downhill. What does that mean? I don't know.
One ring to rule them all.
Better not be.
But yeah, well, and what I think makes Aragorn special is he's the first in the battle. He leads the charge.
Yes.
He's never going to ask someone to do what he won't personally do. He protects his people.
Very much like the battle brother.
Yeah,
and me,
it's someone you'd want on your team.
Yes.
It's someone you'd want on your team, and
in your corner.
And I like that he is the rightful king of the throne of Gondor, which he's turned away from it, but because he does not want it. But he's pretty much presented with it. It's like, listen, you have to do this.
Is that Éowyn or is that Éowyn's father? I'm bad with the elven names. Who gives him the sword?
Elrond brings him the sword.
Yeah.
So
Elrond brings
Arwen played by Liv Tyler, so that's his muse. And then Elrond is
Elrond, king of the elves in Rivendell, like shows up and is like, you need to become the leader. Hey man, I don't even like how times are right now.
King.
Yeah, you need to step up so all your humans can step up, or it's all over here. They're in the east or the west. They're in the west, but they're not the far west.
Well, so
I'm even worse with the map.
So the way it's drawn out.
Go back to Aragorn. Just go back to Aragorn.
Wait a second.
Oh,
I'm gonna stop.
What have I done? No. Oh, good lord.
Yeah, this was like $50. So Gondor is down here in the south.
Yep.
And then Rohan and so Gondor.
I know all the names. I just don't know the map. That's okay.
I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd.
I am trying to read the books. I am trying.
Well, I will say, reading The Lord of the Rings, it's not for everybody. It's an intensive read. It's great. It's great. I love it.
Highly detailed.
Yeah, Tolkien is very descriptive. Okay, your next one. Your next hero.
Is this going to be all right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I like how you had to ask me. It's like, is this okay?
I don't want to jump to the top of the pyramid by mistake, maybe.
Oh, it's fine. The top of your pyramid's looking different than mine, so that's all right.
Spider-Man. Responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yep. He has to rise. He has to become the hero, but also he's just trying to protect the people he knows right there in his community. Your what is it? Your community superhero?
Friendly neighborhood
Spider-Man. Yep. Peter Parker represents your teenager, college kid. Is thrust into world-saving events because he's in New York where everything bad happens, apparently.
Yeah, everything bad happens in New York. Like, all the superheroes are based out there. You never see anyone, like, in the middle of fucking Kansas.
No.
If you want to be a supervillain, go to Kansas. No one's going to stop you. You got tornadoes, but
Carnage went to Kansas.
Carnage went to Kansas. Honestly, that sounds... Carnage went to Kansas. That's got a nice ring to it. Any metal band looking for a name, Carnage went to Kansas.
He got a hold of a meat processing plant and unleashed an army of himself. Didn't go too well for the what? It was wacky. It was crazy.
Well, you know, that I guess that's a win for PETA.
But anyway, Spider-Man. He's lost his parents at a young age. He lost his role model at a young age, and not every one of his villains, but so Osborn, his best friend's father, sort of his pseudo father figure, becomes the Green Goblin. Doc Ock, this amazing researcher. I'm pulling from a lot from the Sam Raimi movies here.
How you doing, buddy?
Someone who he looks up to. Unfortunately, due to a scientific accident, becomes a supervillain. And he's just having to watch these role models, a lot of them, fall and make mistakes. And it's just, Peter Parker is, he's God's punching bag. It's like anything that could happen that's bad is going to happen, and it's going to happen to Peter Parker.
Well, and there's always some kind of, and what I love about the writing behind that Stan Lee did, and is there's so many personal ramifications for anything he does. Because he's trying to balance, because he feels this overwhelming responsibility to be a hero and to use his powers for good, but he's trying to balance his home life. He's trying to have a job, go to school, have a relationship, hang out with his friends.
Afford an apartment in New York City.
Oh, God, yeah. That's, if anything, that is the most unrealistic thing about the whole superhero thing. It's like at the end of No Way Home, he magically
you are not buying that coffee.
Yeah, he's like, you
need every dollar.
Yeah, you don't have a job, sir. You're applying for a GED. You can't tell me you afford that loft.
7 or 8%, buddy.
Okay, so the next hero I have is Han Solo.
Okay, you're Rogue.
Yeah, and so this is I guess my more anti-hero that I'm throwing into the hero, and it's because at first he's in it for selfish purposes. You know, in the original Star Wars: New Hope, he's in it.
I'm just a smuggler making my way through the galaxy.
Yeah, it's just another job.
Yep.
And then at the end, he risks. So one, he doesn't take the money that he was offered, and then two, he really saves the day. I mean, Luke blows up the Death Star, but he saves Luke's ass.
Yep.
And he's always saving everybody. He really is stepping up and saving everybody. It's cool to see that.
He's going to talk bad, he's going to talk his smack, but then he's going to show up right when you need him to save your butt, because he knew this would happen.
Yeah.
And he loves being right.
Oh, yeah. Han Solo is that smart-ass friend who talks trash to you in front of you, but then
he can back it up.
Yeah, but then praises you and always helps you out. And I think he's just a really interesting character. The way it's nice to see someone who's a little more gray because he's just been dealt a bad hand, but he still goes on to do something great. And then even as much as I hate it happening, when he sacrifices himself in The Force Awakens, when he's doing that to save his son. He's trying to redeem his son, and as much as I hated seeing it, that's kind of beautiful that he would lay that all down on the line. So that's why I got him up there.
Definitely not near. Again, I didn't really have much of a list going on. More of a force of nature hero, and more of like a sort of a national icon. Godzilla.
I debated Godzilla for my villains list almost.
He is sometimes, again,
he switches
nature,
both sides.
He can be the force of nature, natural disasters, atomic bombs, but he's kind of become this sort of not like folk hero, but
he always saves humanity.
Yep,
he's a good lizard.
Yeah,
like a good lizard, Godzilla is there.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, he's a hero. He's he's definitely culturally relevant. Everyone knows who Godzilla is.
Yep.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows who King Kong is. Everyone knows who Godzilla is.
James Bond is who I put next.
Okay.
It really depends on the iteration of James Bond for me, of what's more, because part of me is just like, okay, so he's definitely the hero. He's saving the day every time, and he's a huge cultural icon.
Yes.
And definitely movie quality-wise, it's had ups and downs.
Daniel Craig
Craig was the most recent one. He just finished up his 5th movie.
Loved him in it, though.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh.
And I was thinking more Daniel Craig when I was thinking this hero bid.
Just because and I have this problem with the older Batmans as well, the campiness, I can't see past it.
So my thing is with Bond, so I mean, he's always the hero. He is always the hero, and some of it's kind of like a time and place thing, because he's supposed to be this shining example of someone standing up against the threat of communism. Because he's very much, he's a Cold War warrior.
Yes.
And, and
secret agents, spies, the spy game.
And he, it's because of James Bond, we all have this idea of like like the suave, cool super spy. He always, he's got the cool gadgets, the cool car. He's got a cool Carl. He's but he's got the cool car.
Good with the gun.
Yeah, dresses up, looks real fancy in his tuxedo. Always gets the girl, always saves the day, and defeats the bad guy. The first movie came out, I want to say in 1961, was Dr. No. So we're talking 60 years worth of Bond movies. It may have been 62. I think 1962 was Dr. No, 63 was From Russia with Love, and 64 was Goldfinger.
Oh, man. And a few have been redone and remade. I know it's a whole long story chronology of the books, right?
Been redone. Well, okay, so there's... I don't know if you can see it on camera. So Ian Fleming wrote 14 Bond books.
Okay.
I think they're at like 25 or 26 movies. Now, in a lot of them, it's like, okay, we're taking the name of the movie, or the name of the book.
Copy, paste. Here's the story also. Hopefully.
Oh, no. No. Most of the movies are like nothing like the books.
Oh.
Sometimes that's better. But
there was the gold finger, and the guy, he had a gold finger. It wasn't like that in the book?
Goldfinger doesn't have gold fingers.
Oh, man.
He just loves gold, and he's very convenient.
Hoarded it and then wanted to crash the value of,
Yeah. But,
pretty good scheme.
But yeah, so James Bond. Throw out another.
I'll say Batman. Which works more, I think, when he has Superman up there on the podium next to him. It's like, here's a man doing as much as he possibly can. Then there's also more of the detective angle as well. But I think in The Silence of the Lambs, she does it better when it's solely like the detective. I think with the most recent
have money,
right? With Robert Pattinson with the Riddler, it was definitely way more of a detective.
I
style.
love the new one. I love that detective aspect, and I feel like all of them had been lacking that up until this point.
Yes,
and I'm really excited for this.
Most from the Christian Bale one, the big detective thing was one of them was, I figured out whose thumbprint this was by shooting this gun with this bullet at this wall with a Gatling gun. I was like, what? Huh?
Because money. Yeah.
And that's been an issue. It depends on who's writing the comics. Either do we have Detective Batman going on, or is it all the gadgets? And there's been a nice little return to form recently where they just went and he lost his fortune. He doesn't have all the crazy gadgets, so he's having to go back to using like smoke bombs and lurking in the shadows. And you're like, okay, we're getting more of the detective and just the wits. And it's just a guy. He's still just a man.
Well, and one thing, hi Fozzie, how you doing, buddy? Get that off you. One thing I'll say about all the superheroes that have been on this list, whether that be, I know you love Thomas. Who's your good puppy? Who's your good fuzzy bear? Nom 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 nom. I love him so much. He's like, what's that? Is that a microphone? Can I talk into it?
He's poking at me in my belly where I'm ticklish.
No,
stop it.
Don't chew on the table.
Nope.
It's not for puppies.
But Batman,
blah, 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 blah.
the detective, the human element.
Well, all the superheroes have a no-kill rule.
Yes.
All the heroes have a no-kill rule. Mm-hmm. And that always bites them in the ass.
It does, especially with Arkham and just how, oh no, they escaped in like a month or two.
It's like, dang, you mean Joker got out again? I've locked him up like 20 times already. So, next one on my list. So, my number 2, Indiana Jones.
Okay.
So,
the archaeologist,
yes,
the adventurer. Again, sort of like the free spirit.
Kind of. Well, it's like just a maverick of a character. He's...
Speaking of Mavericks, Maverick.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. But Indiana Jones is just one of those characters where you see him fail a lot. But he always goes for what he knows is right. He fails a lot, but he's always like, he's doing the morally right thing.
Making do with what he has.
Yeah, I mean, the man's up against Nazis. So, I mean, it doesn't get much more like bad guy than Nazis. Mm-hmm. But again, very much a cultural icon.
Yes.
A perfect portrayal by Harrison Ford. I can't imagine anyone else being indie than Harrison Ford. He's smart. He's quick thinking. He can think on his feet. And you're always rooting for him. And sometimes he very much is. He's like an underdog a lot of the times because he's always going up against...
greater odds.
Oh, yeah. And it's always some supernatural, like, MacGuffin that, you know, he's got...
He's an archaeologist. He's been out in the field. He has contacts. And then there's this whole sort of whole Nazi army. They're remnants who are just out there and active and have the resources and a blimp and a tank.
One man versus a blimp. Want to throw out another one? Or I can just hit the number one.
Hit your number one.
All right, so my number one, who I think's like the greatest hero on film, Rocky Balboa.
Rocky.
Yeah. So, and this is why I say Rocky. I mentioned being an underdog with Indiana Jones. Rocky is the quintessential underdog hero protagonist. He's just...
Got to struggle and
he
overcome.
comes from nothing because he's I don't even remember what his job is in the first one, but I mean the guy has nothing to his name and he's got these big dreams of boxing, and even though he loses in the first one to Apollo Creed, you're still rooting for him because it's like, you did it, Rocky. You made it and fought the heavyweight champion of the world, and you might not have won, but you did better than anyone ever thought you were going to do.
Yeah.
And it's just very inspirational. And just his story of how he's able to rise above and reach the top. Because, you know, in the second one, he trains and there's the rematch with Apollo Creed. And he becomes the heavyweight champion of the world.
Right.
And
he gets a little cocky from being on top.
I don't know. I really feel like for the most part, he seems very down to earth.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe it's more showboating. It has more of that like Globetrotters feel for it in the third one, right?
Well, the third one
when they're coming for him, and
so the third one is
and he's like, oh. I ain't got... Well, yeah, because...
Slugger Lang. It's Mr. T is Slugger Lang. And he's the one who's real, like, showboaty, in your face, talking crap. Right. And, again, you're still... It's like... people can watch Rocky win and win and win over and over again. Even if he... I mean, they're still making the movies. Because, I mean, even though... So it's Apollo Creed now, or I think it's Creed. Is just
Creed.
what... Or,
yeah,
no,
it's...
Yeah, it's what's the character's name? Apollo Creed's the dad. What's
if they're
Adonis?
I think it's Adonis.
I think it's Adonis Creed. So I haven't watched the Creed movies, but I've seen the Rocky movies.
Right.
And
do you think that's a correct sort of successor storyline? I feel like, so like when they tried to like, oh, here's your son, Indiana Jones. He's good with a knife and he's scared of he's like you, but cut and paste.
But it's Shia LaBeouf and everyone hates him. So I haven't watched the Creed movies, so I can't say whether or not I thought it worked. Okay. I think they picked a great actor to play Adonis Creed.
Yes.
And, you know, I think that's a better way to keep the story going by having Rocky as the trainer,
right?
Instead of going back and him boxing at like 70 years old,
right?
And you know,
you have three options at that point. Either you have old Rocky, which doesn't make sense. Because
he's old.
Yeah, got to be youthful and in your prime for that. You have the successor route, and then you have the reboot where it's like, oh, it's a Rocky, but today, and that really depends on how it's done and handled.
Yeah. And so again, I can't speak for the Creed movies and their continuation because I have not seen them. Mm-hmm. I know people who have seen Creed, the first Creed, and liked it. So yeah. But so okay, so that's our list for the greatest heroes. We've kind of pushed it on the time limit today, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Message us you can reach out, message us, or comment below. Let us know your top 10 heroes.
Down there.
Yeah. Comment down below. Let us know. Subscribe if you're enjoying what you're hearing. We're gonna try to do this every couple weeks. Have a new video come up every couple weeks. You know, some things might come up, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try for you. That and this is fun.
Oh, it's so fun just to nerd out.
Yeah, it's fun to nerd out, and it's always nice to hear someone else nerd out. Because then it's like, oh yeah, I get that.
Same wavelength.
This has been Talking Nerdy with Max and Thomas, and we hope to catch you next time.
See ya.